So, today we're gonna go ahead with crucial conversations, and I've actually reminded myself that there is something that I've forgotten about, and it is indeed the summary. Because I thought, well, what should I do today? I really want to talk about something that has something to do with communicating and communication, but then I've noticed, well, there is something that I've done before, and yes, it's been crucial conversations, and this is also what we're going to go through today, and this is also what we're going to talk about today. And yeah, so I do think that I'm just going to start reading. I'm going to skip the whole intro thing because it is just not working anyway, most often. Therefore, yeah, we're just going to see. Why am I so just small? The fourth point, so there's actually not that much left. There is something left, but not that much. Point 4. Don't get hooked by emotion or hook them. Crucial conversations are highly charged emotionally, and emotions are contagious. So how do we stay out of emotion? The first step to controlling our emotion is to name it. Is it anger, frustration, hurt, ashamed? Many of us are emotionally illiterate. We need to hone our ability to distinguish different emotions. And indeed, it is also something that I had to think about. It is also something that I have seen that I am not that good at just knowing what emotion it might be. I just know that I'm either feeling good or I'm feeling bad. But what exact emotion it actually is something that I often indeed don't know. He made me so angry is a common cry, but in reality we choose to react in that way. It is ourselves who make us angry. Furthermore, even if we have experienced a negative emotion, we also have the choice how we act. The key here is to manage the meaning, as it's the meaning we put on the event, rather than the event itself that crashes the emotion. Which is indeed the case, and I've been talking about this for quite a long time, because this is a huge part of Stoicism. In Stoicism, they often talk about reacting to things and reacting to situations, and or dealing with situations based on how you react to them. Which means that if somebody says something and you're feeling hurt, then these words this person said, they hurt you. But the thing is, if they don't hurt you, they don't hurt you. These are just no words that can hurt you if you don't feel hurt because of them, or if you just choose to not feel hurt by them. Of course, there is, probably a better example there, of course, but the reality is that we most often decide how we react to situations, especially, but also just to other things, whatever might happen in our life. And there's always like a good thing and a bad thing that you could be doing. You could be angry, but you could also just see the good and be happy about things. I do not want to necessarily say that always being like just, it's fine. It's going to be good and stuff like that. I do not necessarily want to say that this is always the best decision, that this is always the best thing that you also should be doing. But yeah, like I don't know, just also feel your emotions, because if you neglect to see them maybe, or if you neglect to also feel them and experience them, then I also think that this is not kind of the best thing that you can be doing. So please have a look at this. It is often the case that when one first steps into this emotionally charged situation full of positive intent, the other person is not in the same space. They may be feeling hurt, and so will often fire out at us. When emotions and words that wound start flying around, then it is easy to get hooked. To stop getting hooked, there are 3 things we can do. First of all, keep focused on the end goal. Second of all, refuse to play the game. Merely being aware that a game is in play means you're less likely to get caught by it. Yes. Because if you clearly notice, there's emotions in the game and there is stuff going on and stuff like that, then it is indeed way easier to be like, well, I don't actually feel those emotions. These emotions are actually not coming from me, so why should I be feeling them? The third point is avoid the sucker's choice. We can often find ourselves in a situation where we think there are only 2 solutions: to shut up and let it go, or to express brutal honesty. The reality is both will fail. The later, because it causes the other person to close down all barriers, we will not get hurt. There is some middle ground that needs to be walked. To help find the middle ground, we need to ask ourselves a more empowering question, like how to without. So how to act without why. By identifying what we do want and what we don't want to happen as a consequence of raising it. So how do we speak honestly without offending and risk closing them down? It requires a mix of confidence, i.e. the bravery to have the conversation in the first place, which by the way is actually not that of a big deal. Just do it, especially when it is about texting. Just text. It is fine. What's going to happen? Of course, there's going to be consequences. There is going to be something happening. Whether it is something good, whether it is something bad, but it is fine. You're not going to fucking die. Even if you get rejected, even if the person says like, no, I actually don't like you that much. Nobody, first of all, is going to say that, which is something that I personally don't like. The thing is that I don't know. If somebody does not like me and, if I try to kind of just know somebody better or some shit, and I know, or just, I don't know. I just want to know if this person likes me just anyway or not. Because if this person is like, I hate you. First of all, I want to know why. Because there's always a reason. There's always a reason why you hate somebody. Whether it is just because of looks, whether it is because of jealousy, whether it is about something else. But there's always a reason why you just don't like somebody. Always. No matter fucking what. And the thing is, I want to know that. Because, I don't know, I want to work on myself and I want to see whether this makes sense. Of course, it's not always going to make sense. It's just sometimes going to be something like, I just find you so arrogant and stuff. Which is, like yeah, from an outside perspective, it might be the case. But I don't know, I really don't. So yeah, which I think, coming back to the original point that I was willing to make, I find it a little bit of a pity that people are not that direct. Of course, it is hurtful if somebody says to you, especially when it is a person that you really, really like, that they hate you. But I would also argue that you can notice things. And I would also argue that you can see that, If somebody doesn't like you, like, there's just, I don't know, you can see it just using body language, quote unquote, using body language, and then having a look at this person, and also just the behavior, and also tonality, the words, but especially behavior, I would say. Like, if you just totally notice that this person is just acting a little bit differently when you're around, and it's like, I don't know, I think we notice things very, very easily. And so why not just being direct and being like, I actually don't like you that much. And we can talk about it, because I would actually like to know why. Because if I know it, then I can also work on it. Quite. I just noticed. I think it is actually a pretty good question, just because I think about it. Just asking, like, I kind of feel like that you don't really like me. Is there something to that? And I think, therefore, or just in this case, it is also just tremendously important to be like, to really over communicate that you don't mean it in a bad way. And that you're just open for feedback and open for just knowing what's going on, quite, and being like, I'm not just not gonna hate you. I'm not gonna be mad at you if you just say you don't like me. I'm fine with that, but I just want to know, because I want to work on myself and I want to just deal with these informations and I want to deal with it. And I think this is a tremendous question. It really is. I don't know. I just know that I do know a person that I could ask this. And it feels like to be a good thing. Quite. I don't know. We will never know. So how do we speak honestly without offending and risk closing them down? It requires a mix of confidence, i.e. bravery, and I know that I've already read that, to have the conversation in the first place, humility to present it in a soft way, and to know that we do not know everything, yes, and skill to be able to stay in dialogue. And I especially like the second point, being soft and really being able to communicate in a way that's not going to offend the other person. It's not going to be whatever. And I don't know, like, coming back to the question that I think is actually just so amazing. But on the other hand, it also communicates some other things, like, I do really care about what you think about me and all that shit, which can or cannot be something good. I don't know. But I don't know, like, I think it's just a good question. I think it really is. Because you don't also just know what's going on. Of course, you can assume, but then you know.
what's going on. If you just notice that somebody just does not like you, whether it is your boss, whether it is just somebody else that you're in contact with, but you just you can be fine with them. You can also just really like them and whatnot. I don't care. In both scenarios, it is just good to be like, well, I feel like you don't really like me. Of course, they're gonna be like, should I say like just really honestly, or should I be like, yeah, everything's fine, I like you, and whatnot. But therefore, coming back once again, I think it is very important to be like, well, just please be honest. I just want to know. I just want to have the feedback. I just want to work on myself, and I just want to know what's going on. Quite, it might be like, I don't know. These people might be like, what's going on? Of course, because it is not something that they get asked pretty often. Anyway, 5 tools as defined by the acronym STATE, the one you can use. Share the facts. Tell your story, i.e. the meaning you're making of these facts. Ask for the other person's path and also story. Talk tentatively. I don't know what this means, so I'm going to look it up. Can I please? Thank you. Thank you very much. And afterwards, I'm going to go through another communication book because it is so fucking interesting. I want to be able to communicate like a fucking god. Tentatively, whatever. The project is tentatively scheduled for the next year. Thank you. Please show me more. In a way that lacks confidence. Hesitantly, are you all rightly walked, blah, blah, blah. Not definitely, hesitantly. Oh. Well. And the last one is encourage testing. The intent is to reach a shared meaning to the fact as a solid basis on which to agree next action steps. Crucialconversations.com has a simple questionnaire to help better understand your own style when under stress. I might actually be doing this if I'm having time, but I think, why am I so slow today, motherfucker? I actually I'm just not going to talk about some other shit and read. The 5th one, agree a mutual purpose. What is key is to find a mutual objective that both sides agree to. If I want one thing and you don't, then it is unlikely to be a successful conversation. Thus, we need to spend time to find an area we both agree on. And B, do not expect to resolve all issues in one go. It's not going to work. The key word in mutual purpose is mutual. It is not about one side's agenda. A useful acronym, CRIP, tells out some of the key steps for developing a mutual purpose. Commit to seek a mutual purpose, i.e. get both parties to agree to first seek a mutual purpose, and then recognize the purpose behind the strategy. It's recommended to first examine our motives. What do I want for me? What do I want for them? And what do I want for us? We need to keep asking why for both parties, as this allows us to ladder up to a higher level of purpose or a higher level purpose. Once the mutual purpose has been defined, it acts as a North Star that we can keep going back to at any point the conversation gets tricky. I just remember that, have I written the article today? No, I haven't. I just have to do this today. And there's an example, I guess. A manufacturing company had been on strike for months. One of the authors asked both sides to go into separate rooms and write down its goals for the company. When they came back and shared, they were surprised to find out how close the 2 flip charts were. This allowed both parties to work closer together. Yeah, it's a cool thing. It really fucking is. Invent a mutual purpose. If a mutual purpose is not easy to find, then one is required to move up to a higher level. Brainstorm new strategies. Thereafter, it's about finding mutual solutions. The 6th point, separate facts from story. It is critical to separate fact from opinion as they are very different. So first one states only what is irrefutable evidence, i.e. what's seen or heard, and not the meaning created from it. A hotel recipient is fact. The husband having an affair is only an opinion at this stage. Facts are a safe place to start as it's a shared basis of agreement and less likely to be as stained in emotion as opinion is. If the conversation starts to drift off track later on, always bring it back to areas of common agreement, e.g. fact and or shared purpose. Having stated the facts which one gains agreement on, one can then spell out the story we and they created. The story is not the facts. Many stories can be produced from the same facts, depending on where we have come from in our past experiences. It is recommended to slowly paste it What? To pace into it, as this is the area that is most likely to push the conversation off track, so be high on sensory acuity when telling it. We then need to pause and allow the other side to put forward their story and also meaning of facts, or of the facts. Critical in this is to be open and listening actively to what they say, and they may well bring new evidence that shifts your interpretation of the facts. We need to keep reminding ourselves what the story is distinct from the facts. That is, after all, just a story. Thus, we're presenting it as a hypothesis, so we do not want to present it with the vigor and certainty of facts, which is a fucking good idea. Being like, well, I don't really know, because it is way softer. If you are like, whoa, you're just the dumbest fucking piece of shit there is, which is very direct. Maybe these are the facts, but it could also be like, I do just have a feeling that you may or may not just know how other people are feeling, something like that. In such highly charged situations, it is critical to discover the underlying meaning the other parties are making of the event in question, as it's often the meaning, not the event itself, that triggers the emotional response. We need to listen hard to the words they use, as many are not clean language but emotionally laden. For example, she scolded at me is an interpretation of facial expression, which is a fact. Is an interpretation of a facial expression, and this is a fact. Which is fucked up, isn't it? Quite. She wants to kill me, and nothing happened indeed. The key is that there are other potential meanings and hence other responses that can be drawn from the same facts. Create different meanings and one shapes new behavior. Yes, indeed. It's actually the case. If there's a different meaning, then we're gonna behave differently. There are 3 stories we need to listen out for that helps us deconstruct how a person is viewing the situation. These stories tend to disempower them and shift responsibility out of their locus of control. First of all, victim stories, it's not my fault. Villain stories, it's all your fault. And helpless stories, there's nothing else I can do. The key is to get the both parties to conduct a bigger shared story. It is only when we have a shared meaning can we start to devise an action plan. If we find there is still disagreement, then use the ABC. Agree, i.e. find the areas that you do agree on, a shared purpose, facts, etc. Often people can be in violent agreement with just 5 to 10% points of difference. Build. Our education system and culture raises us to be critical, so that we should be critical. I do want to underline that. So we are better at tearing things down than building up. Skilled negotiators use the principle of yes, and this is especially useful if the other side has missed out a key part of the argument. Yes, and I don't know what this is. Compare. We should not set up the other person's point of view to be wrong, but just different. Often an opening statement like, I think I see things differently, helps. We should then ask them to compare the 2 stories expressed, theirs and ours, and then invite them to compare the 2 to find points of commonality. Just all these things make sense, and I do want to point out, this is nothing too extraordinary. It's nothing like huge and just stuff and whatnot. But I just also want to go through point 7 to finish it up. And hopefully, which is agree a clear action plan. Hopefully, through a shared consensus, we can now explore options from improving the situation. Just because we have reached a point of shared meaning, it does not necessarily mean we will have a successful outcome. There are still a number of other pitfalls. Number 1, no decision gets made. Number 2, the wrong decision gets made. Or number 3, no action happens following the decision. To help overcome this, we need to decide how to decide. It is about agreeing the ground rules of the debate before the debate. There are 4 methods of use of decision making. Command. When there is a clear authority figure who are empowered to make the final decision, sometimes this can be outside forces, for example, economic conditions or maybe even head office. Thus, the onus, I don't know what onus means. The onus, what is onus? The burden, is more on successful execution of the decision made by others. On other occasions, we may pass the responsibility of decision making over to someone else because we do not really care what the result is, or maybe because we believe the nominated person will make a better decision. Consult, where a person
vested with the power to make a decision first consults widely before making a decision. And B, there's a difference between asking someone's opinion and actually doing what they recommend, as there will always be different points of view expressed during consultation. Third is vote. The democratic way where the most votes wins. Yeah, indeed. It's not always going to be the best thing, but it works. The fourth is the consensus, where one seeks a position that everyone can sign up to. This can take a long time and lead to a suboptimal compromise decision being agreed. When choosing which way to decide, there are 4 questions to ask. Who cares? Don't involve people who don't care. Second one is who knows? Who has the relevant expertise to make a better quality decision? Do not involve people who cannot add value. The third, who must agree? Who are the people who could block the implementation later on if not involved in the decision making now? And the fourth and last one, how many people must be involved? Try to involve the fewest people possible, because the more opinions there are, the harder and more difficult the decision is going to be in the end. There's a phrase that everybody's business everybody's business is nobody's business. In nobody's business. Well, I don't know. Without specifically trying an action time, along with a time frame, a description of key deliverable and standards of success. It runs the risk of not getting done. Time spent up front, gaining agreement and clarity is time saved later on. Finally, there must be a planned follow-up. As to make some accountable, you need to give them a time and place to account. Criticism, which is going to be the final thoughts of the summary. I found this book gave me some really useful tips and new insights into how to handle these situations. It brings the process to life through use of everyday work and personal examples. That said, I felt it was less structured a process than I wanted. I have taken the editorial license to try to pull it together into a more coherent structure. Furthermore, I missed out on a few areas I know of from my NLP training. For example, it is critical to keep focused on behavior and not drift up to identity level, as this is more likely to bring the ego into play. Furthermore, we need to help define where the issue lies. For example, is it a lack of skills, a lack of capability, a lack of understanding over expectation, or maybe a lack of valuing it as important? Only by defining the root cause we can start to work on a more effective solution, which is often the case. The problem is, which we are seeing in medicine as well, in the Western world at least, that we treat the symptoms, but we're not really treating the cause, because there is often a cause for why things are happening. Maybe your arm hurts because you're always lying or sitting in a specific way that's not very beneficial for your arm or your whole entire system. I don't know, it is something that I've seen. Eastern cultures are doing it differently. They really do care about the cause of something and the root, but I don't know. Westies are not that. As often is the case with these As often is the case with these types of books, it is less the theory and more the practice that makes all the difference. Finally, this book assumes that first, we have the right to change another person. Second, we are right in the change we want them to shift to. And third of all, we can change another person. Or we can. So we have the right to. Well, I don't know. The right is let's the debate rumble. I don't know. I don't really think that we have the right, but you can try, and if the other person is willing to change, then well done, motherfucker. Isn't it? Is he actually having more than one summary? I guess so, actually. Maybe I'm actually going to read this book. Maybe I'm actually to find it on the archive. Would be pretty cool. But yeah, I'm going to end the episode there. So I wish you the best health, of happiness, and also success, and also hope that you're going to remind yourself and you're going to be remembered, which basically means your legacy, and basically means just being a nice person, and then also being remembered as a nice person, which is a good thing. On the other hand, something else that I want to catch on is, why are you here? What are you trying to change, and what is bothering you the most? These 3 questions are hopefully going to show you your purpose and maybe even a business idea, which is an important thing and a cool thing. The last one is, what could you do? What could you make? What could you change? What could you create? What could you say that is really going to make somebody else's day? Yeah, what could you make? And with that being said, please stay healthy, please stay cool, please stay generous, and everything else that I do talk about. And I'm hopefully going to see you the next time. So bye-bye. And now I'm going to do another one.
you know? And this is gonna be cut away, maybe I'm just gonna be like, well, you know, it's just do it and stuff, and I don't know. But yeah, let's do it. Bye bye.